the red pill, and this was from something a friend of mine told me. This is called the Invisible Man. He punches the locked door. Worn out knuckles show unused vocal cords. It all started when they decided to move in together. Her temper shortened. She got a tiny bit nasty, a bit less understanding. It was only a little slap. But, you know, he agreed. He was wrong. He was in the wrong. He was being selfish. He was basically asking for it. Besides, she wouldn't do that for no reason. But these slaps turned into closed fists. She's 5'4". He can take it. Besides, she's got anger management issues. So in fact, her rage makes her the real victim here. But time went on and times get tough, but the drinking got bad. She couldn't handle her problems and the anger got mad. You see, instead of this man being able to enjoy single malts and cigars, he's got this woman burning cigarettes in his arm, but they were strategically placed within the borders of sleeves and shorts so that she could continue to chip away at him in small enough pieces that nobody else will ever notice. Ironically, she started to slap him in public so that the crowd's giggles would remind him that nobody cares. The crowd's giggles would remind him that nobody's coming to help. So his skull becomes his man cave, where he goes to beat himself up, so he can at least feel tough, so he can at least feel something, because he is not going to feel love. He does not know how to speak to his mates about this.
Yep.
After all, if you keep your emotions too distant, then society will call you a typical broken man. But if he's an open man, that will never happen to a fella like you. Men's rights. Only women get abused. Don't mock their struggle with your lie. So he smiles and says, I'm fine. He's supposed to see the boys. Saturdays are for the boys. He doesn't speak to the boys anymore. In fact, he doesn't speak to anybody because his home life has become a world of hurt. She built a wall with words between him and his family, so now they can have more time to work on their issues. Even though the people he's supposed to speak to, the people he needs to speak to, require him to go online to look up helplines, then delete his history before she finds out. But then he hangs up the phone before they answer. So whatever's happening can never become real. You see, this gentle man lacked the barbershop chat. And she just cut into his looks, telling him how lucky he is to have a woman like her. And soon his morose mirror had a remorse reflection of the sentiment. After all, who can love a man, or who can handle loving a man with love handles? That's the only reason she draws blood when she pinches on them with her nails. And it became clear that she only knew how to live on a knife edge of chaos with nothing else. So he'd escaped to the garage to go work on his car, to go fix his car, even though it was ready to remove the GPS so he could find a way out of here without her and fix himself. He said he was going to the garage to work with his tools, even though the only tools he has are eyelids to shut as tight as he can to keep his tears hostage before returning to play negotiator with some bitch that wants to make him feel bad just for wanting to feel good. Jeez. There was no more bass in his voice. There was only the face of a boy. Emasculation peeled away years of this man's identity as her own behavior was corrosive to her femininity, as this is not how a real woman acts. This lady, who he once considered his rock, considered him as Play-Doh, somehow he cracked. He said this relationship has got to end before he ends up killed. She saw this coming and stopped taking the pill. There was nothing more in this world that this man wanted than to be a father, than to be an accomplished father. If you leave me, this child's going to know that you left us. You will become your father, your worst fear. And this man knows that The custody battles are the same to one soldier getting annihilated by a dragon. So he had to visit his own child. Every other weekend became his time to rebuild their life. But when he was with his mother, the boy could do whatever he liked, forcing dad to be the mean disciplinarian. His son was his everything. Her son was a puppet on a string. She would tell him stories about his father and how she used to get pummeled by him. You see, all his wealth had gone to alimony, any of his other money gone to lawyers to fight. He was broke, beaten, almost homeless, with a son that hates his guts. But one more hearing, where he already knows the verdict is going to be, he can literally not afford to even fight to see his son. So he drove into the desert with his gun for the sweet release of death. His ex pushes to the back of her mind that maybe she wouldn't be like this if her parents didn't teach her so well. And the fatherless son, grew up convinced that he had an emotionless dad. He grew up with his mother. He learned how to live on this knife edge of chaos with nothing else, until he eventually grew up and became a father himself. Thank you very much.